I guess there's not good light for video in this room.
Hello.
Hello.
Anybody can hear me?
I can hear you just great.
I can.
Okay.
What do you think?
Don't want to think. How about you?
Last week I decided to do it.
Do what?
Shave it all off.
Oh. Well, I cut mine from here to here, just left this all natural. Wanted something different.
See, that's what my hair was doing. It's just slowly migrating down my back, off of my head.
Hopefully this meeting is being recorded.
It shows recording.
That's good.
Yep.
You guys getting the rain too?
Oh,
Yeah.
about 2.5 inches so far.
It's great. It's just dumping over here.
Yeah, getting tons.
Y'all can blame me for the rain.
Why is that?
I ended up getting a ZWO ASI Air Pro.
Oh, nice.
So yes, y'all can blame me for the rain.
You can blame me too. My mount is supposed to be here tomorrow. My new mount is supposed to be here tomorrow. So
Which mount did you get?
I ended up going with the EQ 35 or EQM 35 to start with. Get my feet wet. I found one on cloudy nights.
Did you get a refractor yet?
No, not yet. It's still waiting for the right deal. I was going to ask you. There's a deal right now for the little ZWO finder scope and ASI 120 camera, guide camera. Are those decent?
Yes.
Okay. It was like $200 for both of them.
$200 altogether?
Yeah.
I would get it.
Yeah.
Because the camera itself is $149.
Yeah, and the guide scope is like $100 on its own.
Right.
Yeah. I've contacted the seller. We'll see what he says.
Well, good luck.
Thanks. You got to be quick on that cloudy nights, man. It's crazy.
I mean, when somebody puts the ZWO camera on there, you better get on it.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's gone.
Yeah. I'm going to start with my DSLR. I have a Canon 60D, and I'll do it. I'm going to start without the modification first, but then I'll probably go and make the IR modification to it eventually.
If you can, get the backyard EOS for it.
Yeah, I've already looked at it. Yeah, I'm going to wait until I get a refractor before I get the trial so I can play around with it.
Okay.
But I watched one of their videos last night on how to set it up and all that. So it sounds pretty straightforward.
Which refractor you end up going with?
I haven't picked one yet. I'm still waiting for the right deal to show up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I'm looking for something probably in the 80 millimeter range just to get started with.
I think if you find something around 480,
Yeah.
that'd give you some nice wide shots to begin with.
Okay.
Or if you can find, a red cat would be nice too. But
Yeah,
those
there was one on the other day, but I was too late.
Yeah, anything that's William Optics or ZWO or did I already say William Optics?
You did. Yeah.
Like the major brands, boy, they go quick.
Yeah.
Good to know that's a good place to unload stuff if you're ready to.
I don't think you'd have any problem. It seems.
Mm-hmm.
I have an alert set up on my phone, so I get them as soon as they come into my mailbox, and I'll reach out to a guy and be like, "Oh, it's already sold," within 5 minutes. It's crazy.
It seemed like you might have to get up like 2 o'clock in the morning and check.
Well, I'm guessing that they're moderated because they come in randomly. Like, you'll get a whole batch of them right at once, like every so often. So my guess is they're moderated somehow.
They are.
Yeah. And they'll just have a guy that goes through and approves a whole bunch, and then just gotta be ready for it.
Hi, George.
What's up, George?
What's up, guys? Very good.
And there's Kurt.
Hey, how are you?
Doing pretty good.
Is rain about over with where you're at, Robert?
Yeah, it's still thunder and stuff, but I think the rain has finally let up.
Yeah, ours just started. And it's coming down pretty heavy too.
It seemed like when I left work in Arlington, heading home, it wasn't all that bad until I got
Yeah,
right to Hudson Oaks.
yeah.
It started coming down.
Well, I'm almost at 360. So it just, far east Arlington. And it just started about 20 minutes ago.
Well, I work west Arlington.
Yeah.
I think I'm about 2 miles or 2 miles east of 820 North.
Oh, okay.
Over where Lancaster and what's the other road? Rosedale,
Oh, okay.
off in that area.
Yeah.
Bill, did you get your envelopes?
Not yet.
Really?
Yep. They didn't come today.
Those lion outfits?
Well, it's a long way to drive.
It would have been quicker.
Yeah, probably.
I only live about 12 miles from you.
Yeah.
Robert, that guy is in Dallas, so he's going to do a local pickup discount on that combo, the guide scope and the camera.
Oh,
Wow.
that's good.
Yeah, so I told him I'd take it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good deal.
He says they're both new in the box, so hopefully it's accurate.
Wow.
Nice.
Can't go wrong with that.
That's right.
No.
Well, it's past 7 o'clock. Welcome to another meeting of the Astrophotography Special Interest Group. This evening, we're going to be talking about how to clean your camera sensor. Do not use the video on YouTube. There's a guy that shows how to clean your camera. Do not use that video. He puts it in the dishwasher. I think he puts eggs on it. Uses a Scotch-Brite to clean the glass. No, that's just a bad humor. Of course, I got my T3i Trusty Rusty DSLR. Then I got my infamous, legendary 294 camera. My very first dedicated Astro camera. And we're going to clean the sensor on both of these. First of all, we're going to start with the DSLR first. And of course, the best thing is turn on the power. Go to menu. I can remember how to do this. There it is. Sensor cleaning, mirror lockup. Well, we're going to do sensor cleaning. Now, clean manually. That's what I want to do. You want to go to sensor cleaning in the settings. Clean manually. The mirror will go up. Clean the sensor. Make sure you got a full battery charge. Okay, it's not like it just opened up. Now I got these little cotton swabs that I bought off of eBay, or you can get from Amazon too. I think they're 20 or 30 bucks, and it's definitely well worth the cost. Got a little swab here. You can clean your teeth if you want to. And it comes with a little bottle of solution. Now you just want to put just a little bit on one corner. And just a little bit on the other corner. Now, since your camera's open, put it in here and run from one side and run it back and forth. Just once and once, and that's it. You don't want too much fluid on there. You just want enough to soak it just a little bit, but you don't want it to leave any residue behind. And now, hopefully, let me see if I can't get it shine up in there. You know, more likely not. Well, it's clean now. And
I think if you go to the other side, the other side, you might get a better shot of it.
over here,
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Yep. The green screen's kind of messing with it.
yeah, I was trying to turn the green screen off and I was having a hard time. Well, it's clean now. And of course, to close it, you just turn the power off. And that's pretty much a simple deal for these cameras. And also one of the other things is that with these cameras, they have an option called, I think it's called Bus Delete Data. It's basically like taking flats, but you use, like I use a white poster board on the dull side with a light on, and like with the zoom lens, zoom it all the way out, and forget which setting you put it on, but you want it on a slow shutter speed so you don't get a pattern in there. So when you take the picture, kind of move the camera around a little bit, so then that way you don't get no set pattern. It sees all the little dust motes and stuff. That's what you want to do. Okay. So this one's no good. Now, here comes the fun one with the 294. We got 4 screws here that we got to unloosen. There is an O-ring here. And there is grease here too. So we need to make sure when we take it off, because we got to clean this window here too as well. And you got to make sure not to get any grease on there or any grease on the sensor too.
Hey, Robert, since that camera is pretty much sealed up, can you ever really anticipate that the sensor itself is going to get dusty?
Well, when you first get it, it's clean. But some of the other cameras I bought brand new, you can see there's some specks of dust in it. Majority of the time, it is clean, but you know, due to manufacturing, depending on how good their clean room is, you still get some dust in there.
Is it possible for that grease to like break down maybe and cause some dust in there as well?
It's a possibility, but haven't really had an issue about that. Also, one thing is that when you machine aluminum, especially when it gets thin, it tends to warp some. And if they don't correct that, like taking additional finish passes and stuff, when they remove all the aluminum, there's going to be some warping. If they take some extra passes after like doing all the mill work and drilling and tapping and all that stuff, yeah, it can help minimize that effect. So then that way you get a better seal around it. And it also depends on how good the employees are. You know, coming in Monday morning, first thing, it's like everybody's kind of grouchy and stuff. Like, I don't want to be at work. I was like that yesterday too. Okay, I got the 4 screws undone, and here's the top. As you can see, there are 4 tablets. Now, be careful. These tablets are exceptionally delicate. And also, like what George done in the past was like he kept his 071 camera in a sealed box, but with some extra desiccant tablets or packets in there. You can do that too to help kind to help avoid, you know, any more moisture or help draw it out at least. Now here's what the sensor looks like on the 294. And again, this is a CMOS sensor, just like what the Canon is. It's a CMOS as well.
Are those desiccant tablets?
They are.
Yeah,
Oh
They
my
are.
gosh, they're just right there, huh?
they're right there.
Do they break down and be a source of dust?
They are very fragile. And if you handle them too rough, they can break apart. So it's best maybe to use a toothpick and gently work them out. Because I tried using a pair of pliers one time and I broke one.
I use a pair of the what do you call those? Oh gosh, tweezers.
Tweezers?
And also whenever you clean that thing, you have to take all those desiccant tablets out, put them on a paper plate, put them in the microwave on 50% power defrost for 2 minutes.
Yes.
And then after you do that, immediately take them out, pop them back in there, and seal it.
Okay. I got the tablets sitting on the plate here. Now I want to set that off to the side because you don't want to microwave them first
No.
and then let them sit out. Go ahead and do all the cleaning first. Get the sensor clean, kind of wipe the window down, then microwave them, because as soon as they get done, you want to put them in, put them back in, seal it up, so then that way it draws any moisture out of there. Now, as far as the window here goes, I'm going to just use a soft cloth and I'm going to just clean it. And also one thing is there is some grease on the edge of this. So be careful where you put the rag. Just kind of give it a couple decent turns. You can also use an air bulb like you use for your DSLRs. You can use that to blow the glass off. And of course, I'm going to use one of these. I know in the instruction manual, they say to use some kind of rubbing alcohol, but with these sensor cleaners, you can use them just as well.
Anybody that wants to know about the desiccant bags I get, they're cheap. They're on Amazon, and there you go. Dry and dry.
I think I got the same ones too.
Yeah, and I basically just got a Walmart plastic tub that had a rubber sealing gasket around it and little snaps and big enough for the camera, and basically just put the desiccant in there and pop the camera in there and leave it in. We're not in use.
And of course, there's the O-ring around here, so you want to be careful about, you want to avoid it at all costs because you don't want to smear the sensor with grease.
I actually took mine out and used super lube on it, wiped it down before putting it back in there because it was dry.
Okay, got the sensor clean, got the little window clean. Now it's time for dinner. So we got a few
Little
minutes
sensor to go back over the sensor so that dust don't get back in there. Just as a precaution.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt.
Nah.
That's what also flats are for. You can get these kits off of eBay, Amazon, like I think for $20. And I think I still got a few extra. I know I bought some for my full frame Canon, which I cleaned it once I bought it. But having something like this, is really good because once you go, if you have a DSLR, you know, you can use it for that purpose, and plus you can also use it for the dedicated Astro cameras as well too.
I like the shape of the applicator. It's nice and flat and wide. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But also use it to clean your teeth. Or the other end to clean out your ear. Well, might hurt a little bit. Oh, hold on.
So did Robert say he got a new camera coming? Ah.
That was UPS. Just, I'm afraid to open this because it's going to probably create more clouds.
Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good. This is a safe window to do this stuff, right?
Okay, microwave is done. Tablets are good and hot. I don't know if y'all can see that, but put them back in.
This is my first time to see this. This is crazy.
Yeah, the old ones had a little tube you put those in, and then you screwed it in on the side of the camera.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting little pucks.
Also, the one thing is that if you do damage them, High Point Scientific, Agena Astro, companies like that, they have refills. And I think they're about $20. As soon as these come out of the microwave, put them back in as fast as possible. And also one thing is make sure the orientation is the same way with the sensor. You don't want it 90 degrees around.
Then you'll have a 533.
Yeah. You know, that's speaking about the 533, I could use the 071, change it to that format, and then I can use it like that.
So which camera did you buy?
Actually, it's not a camera, it's the ASI Air Pro.
Oh, okay.
It's something I've been playing with, so.
Amber alert.
Yeah, Amber Alert.
Okay, this camera and the DSLR have been done. The good thing about the 294 is it's good probably for another 9 months, maybe a year. So she's ready to go, ready to rock and roll. Okay, let me throw some of the stuff away.
So that the grease in the O-ring, I presume, is meant to seal that compartment.
Right.
But you know, despite all effort, the moisture's just going to find its way in there.
Eventually, you know, like I was saying earlier, that with the machining practices,
Sure.
you know, like with the body itself, it's not so much of an issue because it's a bigger chunk of aluminum that they're using. But this nose piece that I took off earlier, you know, that's subject to warpage because it's such a thin piece. And if they actually took the time to machine it correctly after all the roughing that's been done, took the time to go back and through and redo it, redo some finish passes, to clean it up, then they should be fairly simple. Or not fairly simple, it should be good. Now, if they took the O-ring depth a little deep by accident, yeah, that can cause some issues too. But if the O-ring groove is where it's supposed to be, not only the depth of it, but the width of it too, where the O-ring actually goes in, that does make an issue. But, you know, if there is a slight issue, you could probably use maybe something like maybe a piece of paper, maybe some very, very thin cardboard to shim it. So, you know, bring it up to help make it actually seal a little better, or actually go find another O-ring that's the same size as that and put it in, put some fresh grease in there and stuff.
AutoZone.
Yeah. What's in the box?
Come for the sensor cleaning, stay for the unboxing.
Yeah.
We get a bonus today.
Robert, how long did you have to wait for that to arrive after you ordered it?
I ordered it Sunday.
Really?
Oh, they had it in stock.
Yes.
Stateside.
Well, that's shocking.
Jenna Astro just got 10 of them in stock. So I'm like, I better get one. And I had it shipped next day air.
EWO just threw a bunch of them to everybody over here in the States.
Got a little card.
Make a copy of the SD card.
That's what I'm going to be doing. And it comes with a nice little mount that you can mount on this side or mount it here, which will fit where the finder scope is, or the finder scope goes. You can fit it there. And of course, it has an on and off switch. It has a 12-volt power in. and it has two high-speed USB 3 plug-ins, and it also has an Ethernet cable, and it has also two USB 2 plug-ins.
That's a Raspberry Pi in there then.
It is. It's a Pi 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it also has 12 DC outputs. So you can plug in the cooler.
Cooler, focuser, all kinds of
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
However, they say with the 071 camera, and I forget which one else, you got to have a separate power supply because this will not provide enough power for those those cameras.
Yeah.
But that's the reason why I got the Pegasus power box, so I can use that in conjunction with this. Sweet.
Which Pegasus do you have?
It's just the cheap one.
The Pocket?
Yes. Of course, I got the cables. I got a little USB stick. I think it's 64 gigabytes. And you can plug that in, and you can also use this to download all your images to it. And of course, some more cables. And another cool thing is they send you 4 sets of male-to-male plug-in cables. So you can use to plug in your the EAF, the filter wheel if it takes one, the camera cooler. I guess you can plug the mount in too, I think.
No, it's not powerful enough for the mount.
No, it's not.
No, it's only good up to about 2 amps, maybe 2.5 amps.
Is that per port or total?
It depends on how much amperage you got going into it. I don't know what the rating is between the input versus the output. If it's
Right. I wonder how they're splitting it. Yeah, if they actually have any kind of conditioning on there, or if it's just a bridge.
Now, one thing, I've been watching some YouTube videos for the past 2 days that you can turn off each one of these.
So they're controlled. Okay.
Outputs, you can turn them off.
That's cool.
So you have more power dedicated to the other two or the other one, however it needs to be. For those who want to know, it was $299.
And when I'm still new to this, so what is that for? What are you going to be using that for?
This is going to do away with the laptop.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So you got it mounted up on your telescope, and you got your camera, the main imaging camera, plugged into this. Then you got your guiding plugged into the camera, which is going to feed into this. It controls it all, including the mount. If it's a supported mount, it will control it. It will actually do the go-to for you. It will do everything except go get you tacos.
And it's Wi-Fi, so you use like an iPhone or iPad, right?
Yes, you can use a phone, iPad. Matter of fact, I got a tablet. I believe tomorrow I'm getting it. They say it's supposed to be here Friday, but it's supposed to be here tomorrow. So, plus it's a 2.4 and 5.0 gigahertz.
Nice.
Of course, they suggest you to use the 5. So when I got the tablet, I made sure it support either one. For some reason, the 2.4 supports a longer distance if you're away from it.
Yeah, it's just.
And then the 5 is you have to be fairly close.
Right.
So that means I could be in my car during the winter time and sit there and just watch it.
Even with 5, you can be a couple hundred feet away. You'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it downloads all the images to this. So when you get in the morning, turn on your laptop, connect the Wi-Fi, then you can just download the images Wi-Fi to the laptop.
Nice.
There's no need to take the card out or the stick. And you're done. But like what George was saying, yes, the SD card, there's a little SD card sitting right here. You do need to back that up because it has all the pertinent license info and all that yada, yada, yada stuff on there.
If that's a Raspberry Pi, it's got the OS on there too.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, it is the ZWO operating system for capture, and it also has PHD2 for polar alignment and guiding. I'm not sure if it has Sky Safari on there, but it also does plate solving too. So, the weather, I think it's supposed to be clear Sunday night. If it is, I'll probably go out with this and play with it out at Thompson. Saturday, or Sunday, I mean.
If I get that, oh, good. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say if I get that mount, I can at least put my camera on it and go play around out at Thompson this weekend. I hope so. We'll see.
Yeah. You got any other zoom lenses or?
I've got just a standard 200 millimeter zoom that would give me something at least.
Yeah, you can start trying with that.
Just to play around with it, yeah.
Other than that, that's all I got for this evening's meeting, unless somebody else wants to talk about anything in particular or general.
Crickets.
Robert, did you find out how to copy the recording?
No, I haven't.
You didn't try that yet?
No.
Well, I don't understand. You have all these toys, but you don't have time.
Well, actually, I think that's going to have to be for Chris to play with. Because he's the one, I guess he's the one that set up the account on YouTube. And I think that might be best for him to let him handle that.
Yeah, if he hasn't shared that, well, actually, none of that's shared with us. So it's another point of failure in our operational environment.
Well, the only thing he shared with me was the password for Zoom so I could get the meeting set up.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's his personal. I don't think it's the club's. Could be wrong.
I think the one he is using now is personal.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
If y'all need one in the future, I have a professional Zoom account. I could record and share the videos if y'all need.
No,
Yeah.
what we're talking about is once we get finished with this, that the video should be uploaded to YouTube.
Oh, automatically?
Well, I don't know about automatically, but Chris, the ex-presidente, he set up the account with YouTube and stuff like that. And I have no access to that.
Right.
The only access I have is to Zoom with the FWAS account. So I can set up these meetings so we're not on a time schedule. I set them up for 2 hours, as before when I set them up with my own personal account, only had 40 minutes. So Chris would have to be the one to take the video and post it onto the FWAS YouTube page.
Okay.
But other than that, that's all I have for this evening.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes,
So,
please.
because he's talking about like dust inside of a camera and stuff like that, and cleaning the sensor and all that stuff. So when I was like putting together my image train with the camera and the filter wheel. I'm trying to be so careful. I have myself one of those little Giotto rocket blowy bulbs for cameras, you know, and I was like being so careful to try and get all the dust out and looking for all the holes to seal and just make sure that I could, you know, I mean, I'm gonna take flats anyway, but like just to try and like keep dust out of it, it's a hopeless cause, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought, because the first flats that I took, 2 of them were like clean, and it was like, hey, that's great. And I saw the other 2, and it looked like I'd left it outside for a couple of days open or something. Yeah, it's pretty pitiful. So
Now the dust donuts will tell you what kind they are. If they're blurry dust donuts, then they're on the sensor. If they're pretty substantially clear, where you can actually see a definite ring on the outside, on the inside as well, then it's on the outside of that sensor. It's probably on the window or on a filter.
Gotcha.
And of course, you know, when you deal with filters like I do and everybody else does, you know, you got 3 filters, 4 filters. Some people have 8 filters. You know, that's 8 times the dust mote you're going to have. And also the thing is, when you use every filter or each filter, you're going to have to take flats for that particular filter in order to clean it up. And of course, I kind of learned that the hard way when I very first did my SHO picture, that I dumped everything into APP without sorting it out first. And I was wondering why I still had amp glow in there and all these little round boogers and everything in there. And finally, the 3rd time, I finally got it right.
So how often do you take flat, like retake
3 times.
Every time? Yeah.
Well, every time you have to move the camera.
Now, what I do is that if I miss, like with my Explorer Scientific 80 millimeter, it has the 3 filters, HA, O3, and S2. Well, if I mess with it, take it apart, got to do something, play with the spacers, yada, 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 yes, I'm going to have to take new flats again. But if I haven't touched the setup any, left it in the bag, and gently handled it, you can probably reuse the flats again. But it's generally best practice, go ahead and take new flats. Now your darks and biases, you can use them over and over and over again. For me, it's about 6 months on each one, because during the summertime, I run at 0 Celsius temperature on the dedicated Astro cameras. So I got a library for summertime, then also got a library for wintertime. So every 6 months, I'm always making a new set. And it doesn't hurt, because the sensors, they tend to age over time and the pattern may change.
Right.
So it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and take new flat or new darks and new bias frames. And of course, people also use dark flats, and I don't use those.
And with a flat, you're just looking for a uniform source of light, or a uniform, you know,
Flat field.
whatever in front of the flat, yeah, in front of the entire imaging train, right?
Right.
Yeah.
In front of the scope.
Yeah, yeah, including the scope.
What you want is like a t-shirt, and maybe with a sheet of copy paper, help kind of diffuse the image. You want to make sure the t-shirt is tight, no wrinkles whatsoever. Again, this is basically like with the Canon, that you're doing the dust delete data. You're taking that information and you're going to apply it to your pictures. Well, you need to make sure the white background is, there's nothing
Right.
there, because you don't want no wrinkles or anything, you're trying to get what's on the sensor and the filters and stuff
Yeah. Okay.
in the optical train. So I use an LED light panel that I bought from Amazon, and it's a variable brightness. So I have the t-shirt and stuff up against the telescope. And I got the light panel, and I kind of I move it back and forth, look at the histogram. You want the histogram to be on the left side. You don't want it on the right side. You don't want it in the middle. Because anytime you start getting past middle, you're going to be oversaturated.
Yeah. Yep.
Then when you oversaturate, then you won't be able to, the software won't be able to depict what dust bunnies and what stars.
Mhm.
So you want to run it down between, what I've heard is people put it from 25 up to 35% on the range. I run mine from 25 to 30. And I usually take about 50 frames up to 100 frames. They're easy, they're quick to do.
Mhm.
Same thing with bias frames. Matter of fact, on all of them, your darks, your flats, and your biases, you want them all the same temperature, same gain, same, so everything matches. Because you don't want to use darks that are a 5-minute exposure when you're only actually doing dark sets or lights that's only actually 2 minutes. Because then it won't work that way, or if it's the other way. Because when you take a 2-minute exposure, you do get a little bit of amp glow, but when you start taking a 5-minute exposure, 10-minute exposure, 15-minute exposure, well, it looks like the sun's coming up. And that's what the darks do. The darks subtract that out of there, along with whatever bad pixels and stuff. Well, the flats do the same thing. It takes away the dust bunnies and stuff. George, you got any thoughts on this? Your experience?
If your scope's small enough, if you got like a 5 or 6 inch refractor and you have an iPad, you can get something called RGB Light. It's a little app that you can get for it. And you can adjust the brightness and the spectrum and the whole 9 yards on that particular application. And like you were saying, use a t-shirt to diffuse so that you don't see all the little pixels within the iPad screen. I use, like you, a light tracing tablet that I purchased off of eBay or Amazon. And it's got 3 settings, low, medium, and bright. And I use it on my Hyperstar, on my regular, the long focal length portion of my 11-inch Edge HD. And I use probably 2 pieces of manila paper and a t-shirt just to dim it down enough that it'll do it. And usually it's about 32,000 half flux diameter, or not half flux diameter. There's a brightness piece. Yeah. There's a brightness setting on there, or deal that you can watch when you're taking it. I usually use either the Sequence Generator Pro utility that's out there so that you can judge where it should be once you've got the light panel on there, or I use Voyager most of the time, and it'll dynamically adjust the number of seconds that it takes an image to get it within that frame that you want it. So makes it a lot easier.
I might have to go look up all these applications you guys are talking about.
Yeah, Sequence Generator Pro is probably the most used one right now. Nina, from what I'm understanding, is a really, really, really good one that's come out, that's open source, and that it's free, so you don't have to pay anything for it, and you can play with it. It works with DSLRs, cooled cameras, the whole shebang, and it'll control your telescope, focus, the whole 9 yards.
Nice.
Well, I'm back in the Stone Age days, I use SharpCap Pro. Even though it is free, but in order to use like some of the features like polar alignment, sensor analysis, you have to pay for the license. It's only $15 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still using SharpCap. George, what was the name of that free program you said?
RGB. Are you talking about Nina?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do a lookup on Nina Astronomy, NINA,
Okay.
It's an acronym.
you'll find it out there. It's open source, and there's a lot of videos out there. There's actually I don't know how you spell his name, but Queeve, who's a guy that he's a Swedish guy that lives in Japan, and he's one of the developer guys for Nina, and he does a lot of videos on how to utilize it and stuff like that. Very easy to understand.
The Astro Imaging group had a presentation, an hour-and-a-half presentation on it earlier this year, later last year. It was very well done.
They've come out with several new versions of it since then that have taken care of a lot of the issues.
So Zach, there's a lot to learn.
I'm looking forward to it. I can see that. I've been, I watched the threads, and I've been reading stuff on Cloudy Nights and YouTube and all kinds of fun stuff. I know I have a lot to learn, and I can't wait. So
It's a sprint, not a marathon, or not. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
I want to say.
Depends on how much you want to get into it and spend on it, right?
Right.
Yeah,
I've definitely, I've got a hard budget, so I'm trying to stick under that, and so far so good. So that guy got back to me. He sold me that guide camera and the scope for $175. So
That's good.
I'm gonna pick it up tomorrow.
Well, you'll never run out of stuff to read.
But I need a hobby like that's constantly challenging. That's good. So that'll be good.
One thing is if you're on Facebook like I am and with some of the groups, unfortunately, the bad side, when you ask one question, usually you get a response, 300 different answers. And to me, it really makes me mad because I ask a very specific question and I cannot get a very specific answer. Somebody says, oh, it's out of focus, or something's wrong with your mount, or you're not holding your mouth right. It's like, it's frustrating at times.
Yeah.
That you want to pull your hair out and just push the mount over and run it over with your truck or car.
Throw it in the pool. I've thought of throwing it in the pool.
Yeah. There seems to be a lot of very opinionated people in this hobby. So yeah, if you go looking for a critique, or you ask a question, you're looking for some input from people, as often as not, you're going to start an argument. One guy's going to say, yeah, you have to do it this way. And another guy's going to say, no, that's totally wrong. You have to do it this other way. And I don't know, maybe all hobbies are like that, but
I think you'll find those people everywhere.
ask a question and you'll start an argument. I've asked a couple of questions on Cloudy Nights, and I'm just looking for some input. And the guys on there start bickering with each other about what the right answer is. Say, no, you're wrong. You can't do it that way. You have to do it my way. And that is frustrating, but hey, it seems to come with this hobby.
One thing in particular that really chapped me really good is that on my 127 Explorer Scientific Refractor, I finally got some M48 adapters for it, and I finally found an M54 to M48 adapter so I can have a solid threaded connection to the camera. And everybody's saying, well, you got to have 55 millimeter backspacing on there. I'm like, what are you talking about? I go, I'm not using a field flattener or anything. Well, you still got to have 55 millimeter backspacing. I'm like, from what? Where is this coming from? I also got the 2-inch filter slider on there too. And I know they're not talking about that, but most of the time they're talking about if you're using a field flattener or a field reducer, which I do not use on the 127. Now, however, on the 80 millimeter, I am using a field reducer or a field flattener on it. And I do have it set at the 55 millimeter focal length, which is correct. Also, the side note is that also varies from manufacturer to manufacturer. Because when you start using like a field flattener or a reducer, like especially on a Celestron, theirs are going to be different. Because once you put that on there, now your back focus is going to be 105 millimeters. So you got to come up with all the adapters and stuff. And also another thing you got to pay attention about is if you got a regular C8, you know, your back focus shouldn't really matter unless you're using a reducer for it. But now if you're using an HD model, you got to remember those got lenses inside the baffle tube. Each model is different. So I didn't know that until somebody posted a drawing, a schematic view of them, of the 8-inch, the 9.25, and I think the 11-inch. And it showed all three of them with different lenses inside of the baffle tube for the focus, and each one had a different distance for each model. And I didn't know that, but now I do. So it does pay to do some research, and it does kind of pay to read some of their answers. And if you don't like some of their answers, move on to the next one. You know, just take it with a grain of salt or sand, throw it over your shoulder, and move on to the next guy or to the next answer.
I approach it like the rule that you don't believe everything that you read on the internet. Yeah, sorry to blow
it's
your
not
bubble.
true?
Sorry to burst your bubble there. But yeah, you start getting really good at sifting out the credible people, you know, and sifting out the credible advice. I always like the fact that you get so many different opinions and you get so many different things, and you start following those paths. It's like, okay, well, this sounds like it doesn't make any sense from what I know, but these other ideas sound pretty good. And then it inspires you to like, hey, well, I'll pursue learning about what they're talking about. And then, you know, you're spun off on another tangent, but you're learning more and more. It's constant learning. It's great. If you like to learn, this is the hobby for you.
This ain't no easy hobby by any means.
Oh, I like a challenge. It's good. It'll be fun.
Yeah, first time I ever tried to take a picture with a Canon camera was off of a Dobsonian, and I couldn't figure out why in the world I never could get it in focus. And I basically had to hold the camera and move it back away from the tube in order for it to get a focus. And that was the first time I realized it was an issue of spacing.
Uh-huh.
I'd never read anything about that, or, well, I probably never read anything about much of anything at that point, but it was just a fluke. It's like, why is this?
I don't think we could do this hobby without the internet.
And there are some very talented people on YouTube that I basically gravitate to because their process of how they explain what they're doing is credible. People that respond, I don't so much look at them as much as I do the person that's doing the presentation. And there's there's a large number of people, both here and in Europe, and of course that crazy guy down in Australia, that are pretty intelligent folk. They do some very interesting things.
See, Zach, one time I was just like, I bought a lot of gear. Bought a lot of gear. $14,000 worth.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But, you know, my picture suffered. The thing was, it's like I was jumping from telescope to telescope to telescope. Well, that's not really a good idea. Ought to do some research first. Get something that you want to use, something you can use and practice with. And this is pretty much true. It's like once you got the gear, you know, got a good mount, got a good telescope, software. Now it's time to start learning the software. Let's start taking time to understand, why am I getting crappy pictures? Why is this happening? The thing is, if you never ask questions, you'll never ever learn in this hobby. And you know, I've asked a lot of questions that many of them went unanswered. I got a lot of rude responses in the past. And so I started selling some of my gear, donated some of the telescopes to the club, started getting gear that's more worthy, more quality gear. Now, I got all the gear that I need. Now it's time to start focusing not only on sharp cap, learning the bells and whistles of it, but also now I got away from deep sky stacker. I went to Astropixel processor. Big difference. Even though you have to pay for Astropixel processor, it's not bad. It's pretty good software.
€6 a year.
What's that?
€6 a year. So what, $7.50 or thereabouts?
For which software?
APT.
No, I'm talking Astropixel processor.
That's what I said.
APP.
I thought it was like 200 and something.
Well, Astropixel processor, I just bought it, was $185.
Okay, I'll give you that point. I just got a thing from APT yesterday. That's free. It was on my
In
mind.
your head.
But the thing is, Zach, you know, join these meetings, learn from us. You know, Jerry Gardner and also George Luch is real good with Pixel Insight, and so is David Cox. I tried using Pixel Insight one time. It's just beyond me. Money's not the issue. It's just the learning curve. It's a pretty steep learning curve.
Pix Inside is the reason why y'all haven't seen a picture from me yet. I've got so much data and I'm just muddling through. Pix Insight's a very, very steep learning curve, but it's extremely powerful. And that's the one that's 200 and something bucks.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The bad thing about watching videos, there might be some good videos on YouTube about Pixel Insight. The one I was watching was like 12 videos. And the guy was just like rushing through it. And I was just like, man, I do not like videos like that.
Keep in mind that YouTube has that speed adjustment. And many a time I've taken it down to a quarter speed or half a speed just to settle the guy down so I can like follow what he's doing.
And also one thing is like Trevor on Astro Backyard, and he does Photoshop. Well, he flies through it too. And it's like
Photoshop personally is, I don't think any less complex than Pix Insight. And I don't think the menus are laid out specifically for astrophotography in mind. The
of course not.
way I see people like Chuck's Astro Backyard and Dylan O'Donnell, they have a process already in place, and they use that process to go through PixInsight. Yeah, and you're right. When Trevor goes through and says, "Watch this," poof, and there it is. But he's doing some type of graphic work in his what used to be his full-time job. I don't think he has a full-time job anymore. I think it's YouTube.
No, so I wouldn't be surprised. He's got a big following.
Yeah, he's one of the, if you're doing stuff with a camera, with a Canon camera, he's one that's, I certainly learned a heck of a lot from,
And what,
because
who's this guy?
he was very meticulous about it. And he's got lots of videos on just about everything you can imagine.
And what's his name?
Astro Backyard.
His name is Trevor.
Trevor Jones.
He also has a Facebook page too.
Yeah, if you want to do PixInsight videos, Sean Nielsen from visibledark.ca is a good resource. And he's one of those guys that he doesn't rush through it. He talks you through it, and his voice is very melodic and slow, and so it's not hard to. And with all YouTube videos, you have that option, slowing it down or stopping it when you want to go back and look at something else.
Right.
I really like Light Vortex.
Yeah, he's good too.
Yeah, but that's more reading than.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of screenshots and a little paragraph and screenshots and a little paragraph.
Or you can do Adam Block. He's got his own website where he'll sell you a year subscription to his videos, and he'll put new videos out there for PixInsight and Photoshop and a couple other things. IP4AP.com is another one.
You guys got to slow down.
Here, we'll put it in the chat for you.
Yo, that'd be awesome. Yeah, dude, let's do that. And I can go look at them.
Just click the slow down button.
Where's the slow down button here?
Quarter speed.
Let's go to ludicrous speed.
Yes. Oh, not
Well, some of them are like that. They're just, it's like, hey, you realize your audience are the people that don't know what they're doing, right?
There's a Welshman that's pretty good, and he uses a lot of camera, non-astro camera equipment. In fact, his pictures of the comet were pretty freaking impressive. His name is Alan Wallace, A-L-Y-N.
That guy always looks like he's like never slept.
Well, you know, he's Welsh. I don't know what else to say about him.
With circles under his eyes, and looks like yeah.
He's up all night, so what? But he takes the time to go through, and there's a lady that's over there that's studying astrophysics, and she's I don't remember her name. Stace, S-T-A-C-E?
Astrostace?
Astrostace?
Is she the English lady?
Yeah.
And she's got the little dog.
Yes, and
Yeah,
she's got a
Astrostace.
mount in her backyard. Well, her back garden, I should say.
There's also, I'll put it on the chat, but there's also, what's her name? She's in Georgia. She just started doing a bunch of high quality videos on YouTube.
Is it Amy? Amy Asher?
So, yeah.
Well, if you're looking for beginning stuff, Trevor Jones and Chuck's Astro Chuck's, what is it? Astro back? No, Astro something.
Chuck's Astrophotography.
Yes. They have a wealth of 2 or 3 year old videos that describe everything at the beginning.
That's what I need.
Galactic Hunter.
Well, he does too. Now those, I'm concerned about that pair. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't give them a lot of credit. Yeah.
They're an interesting couple.
Oh goodness.
I guess that's what it looks like when both the boy and the girl in the relationship like astronomy.
Yeah. Well,
I think she just likes the video aspect of it, not the astronomy aspect.
I think you're right.
She's hanging around.
Yeah.
Zach,
Ray's astrophotography is, oh, that one right there is great for imaging, for reading about how it works.
Yeah.
The flats, arcs, biases, and all that wonderful stuff.
if you get into dedicated cameras, like some of us is, this book will help you.
I'm
Also, sections in the back, how to use Photoshop and Pixel Insight,
nice.
shortcuts.
Yeah,
but-
I have a lot of experience with Photoshop, so I'll probably start there just because it's familiar, and then play around with other stuff as I go.
This book helps clear up some of the smoke you get from Facebook.
Okay.
Some good websites.
You guys are
Telescopia.
Telescopia.
Scopia or Scopius?
Copious.
It's in the chat.
Oh, there we go.
And our favorite, Astrobin.
Astrobin's the picture dump. So
Yep.
you can that's where I spend a lot of time, like looking at combinations of gear and seeing what people could do. Now, the thing that you've got to recognize is that these people are also very good at processing the data. But if you so the thing ends up being, if you master processing the data, then you look at their gear combination, you can at least recognize what that gear combination is capable of doing if you're good at processing data.
That's cool. So I could look up a refractor there and see what kinds of things are possible.
Yep, you look at their camera, you look at the mount. You know, most of the users, it's almost like a MySpace page, except it's space pictures instead of music. And
That's cool.
yeah, it's pretty great. They, most of them, they like give you, what their exposures were, what filters they used, what the moon phase was, and SQM sometimes. You can get a lot out of it. And you can also see what a good processed picture of a particular object looks like too. It's like, okay, so that's what it's supposed to look like if I knew what I was doing.
That's always good to have something to compare yourself to.
Yeah, if you get a chance, the backlit cameras for the cool cameras are just totally mind-blowing.
I'm sorry, the what? The backlit what?
They have different sensors. Most of the sensors that have come out are what do they call those? They've got the little screen in front, and the photons have to pass through it before they hit the actual sensor. And then they have the ones that are called backlit sensors, which are the newer CMOS ones, and they don't have to pass through that interface, which is where all the signal goes to get back to the computer. So
front illuminated and back illuminated.
There you go. Yeah, the back illuminated are just. I got the 2600, and I don't see any amp glow, and the pixels are so clean when you're taking pictures. I don't even think I have to take any darks. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
The 533 is also the same way too.
Yeah.
There's
Same.
no angle on it.
Yeah, the 6200, 2600, and 533 are pretty much just different sizes of the same wafer, I'm thinking, because they're all the same pixel size.
Speaking of pixel size, did you see the stats on the um, telescope? What was it? 3
3
gigapixels.
gigabytes.
That
Yeah.
was insane. That was pretty cool though.
Gigapixel.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean,
That's an observatory caliber there.
It's 3 meters long.
I know. It's 1 point something meters in diameter.
Yeah, I put that on my 127.
Gonna need a bigger mount.
Yeah, the hole's not big enough.
Well, it is on an 8-meter telescope, so what do you expect?
Yeah,
True.
I
that's
think
big.
what is that? How that star?
But it's not going to work with all the nice little SpaceX satellites running around up there, from what they're telling you on the video.
Yeah, it's almost obsolete before it's completed.
I think we got to have like a Space Invaders game where everybody gets a little gun. They can...
Just pop them off. Yeah. Oh man.
Elon has said that all of the newer ones will be dark coated instead of white.
They just need that Vanta Black coating on them.
There you go.
Those nanotube coatings.
I've also heard that they're wanting to deploy at lower altitudes as well than originally planned.
Yeah, they've changed their filing with the FCC twice to lower the altitude.
Something about performance.
Well, yeah, their latency. The closer you get, the lower the latency.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
80,000 satellites. Can't go wrong.
That's my day job is telecom radio stuff. So it's all.
Yeah, I figured so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Can't wait
actually.
for the internet.
What was that?
I can't wait for free internet.
Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you lived up in along the border with Canada, they're taking beta subscribers up there.
I went and visited a company in Seattle that's building a flat panel antenna for Starlink. Basically, you can just sit on top of your car, and it's electronically steerable, so no moving parts. And it was pretty impressive what they're able to do. I mean, they're getting in the test that I saw, it was 50 megabits per second, and latency was like 20 to 25 milliseconds, which is pretty impressive for satellite. But we'll see. I'm of two minds. It would be great for our business in rural, internet connectivity in rural areas, but for looking at the sky, it's obviously going to pose problems. So.
Oh, speaking about internet issues, out at Thompson, I noticed with my laptop and my cell phone, I connect, but there's no internet access. And of course, Lisa was telling me that they changed internet providers, but still using the same password and stuff. My phone's able to connect, but there's no internet.
Could be the router at the building out there is just not connecting to the home base, the one over in the main office, because that's what it does. It's a direct connect, line of sight connection, and if it's not connecting to that one over there, you're not going to get internet, but you'll be able to connect to the Wi-Fi locally.
That's the pole that's on the corner of the shed there.
Yeah, the little barn that they've got there. If you go all the way to the end of the shed. Now you can go over there and unplug it and replug it back in and see if it reconnects. But yeah, you'll be able to get wireless, but no internet if it's not connecting to the main router.
If the backhauls not there, it won't do anything for you.
Maybe it got knocked asunder when, you know, all that wind blew through or something.
Well, we got a telecom guy now, so that's cool.
It is what I do.
Somebody shown Zach where Thompson is.
I was out there a couple of weeks ago with Robert actually, and Dave showed me around. So
That's cool.
Mount a laser to that little antenna until it points to the right one.
right. Is that something the club provides, or is that it was Thompson Foundation?
Thompson.
That? Okay.
Yeah. But Lisa seems to be real amiable about listening and taking action to do something. So who is it, Matt, that interfaces with her?
So,
I could hook us up with some
Honor?
with some gear
Yeah,
if
it's
they need
Mike.
if they want to improve that link. I don't know what kind of ISP service they have out there, but going from the main building out to the Thompson site, I'm sure we can make it work if it's broken.
Yeah.
So.
Slow net.
one thing I do have to say about Lisa is that she's a good caretaker of the property out there. And when I went out there, she was pulling out of the gate, and I asked her if she could do me a favor real quick. And she got on her mower and mowed a little spot where the power pole is on the opposite side of the creek there. So then that way I could image the Lobster Nebula and the Cat's Paw Nebula. Is if you image along that pad, they go in the tree before you know it. But since I was over across the ditch there, I was able to get 2 hours on each object easily.
That was the night that I showed up. I was like, how did you get over there on the other side of this ditch? I didn't know about the little road.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool of her.
There's a road already that goes to like one of the deer feeders or a deer blind, and it goes back much further on the property. But she just mowed a little section right there, and I mean, it's just nice. But you don't want to go out there after it rained because you'll probably get stuck.
Well, after you left and I was out there by myself, that's when the clouds came in. And so I was like, well, I guess I'll maybe wait it out. Maybe we'll get some clear sky again. And so I was sitting there and having a snack, and I'm in the dark, complete darkness, and sitting in a little lawn chair next to my scope, and I hear a grunt, and I realized it wasn't a grunt, it was an oink.
Absolutely.
And I have never gotten up out of my chair into the back of my truck as fast as I did. So I waited a little while, and then I got into the cab and I started driving around. So I kind of drove around the property a little bit because I was looking for this pig. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if they're afraid or if they're aggressive or anything. I've read both. So
I think they're only aggressive if they have young.
yeah, and I didn't know if they had young or not. It's dark. So I hear the oink and I'm like, man, I moved so fast. I didn't get a single frame. Robert, you got the last of the good sky when you left. That was it.
I think that was the night that the smoke was coming in really bad because I ended up losing guiding after that. I mean, it was just like, it was horrible.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, this rain that's happening right now has at least the middle part of Texas will have been cleared out. So as soon as it all clears out here, it should be clear for at least a day until whatever is still burning out in Arizona and California picks up again.
Well, of course, it's full moon right now, so it's not the best time anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, has anybody tried? I know, George, don't you have one of those one of those full color filters that have transmission through the RGB, but not through like light pollution and stuff?
I've had the L Enhance, and I
Yeah.
sold that on Cloudy Nights. That went like 30 minutes and it was gone. And
Why'd you unload it?
I got a replacement for it, which was the L Extreme. So that one is very fine. It's like 7 nanometers on the HA and 7 nanometers on the O3.
Oh, so it's narrow band.
It's dual narrow band for color.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't know if it was transmission for RGB or not.
Well, it's RGB. You're going to get blues and you're going to get the reds. If you go for the Triad filter, if you really got some bucks, which I don't.
Triad.
Yeah, the Triad has it's a quad band, so you got S2, O3, HA, and HB.
Yeah, $750.
Oh boy.
That's for the one. That's 1.25. For the 2, it's 1,000.
I was thinking 1,000, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I
1,000.
saw one on Cloudy Nights go for 930. It's it's expensive. But if you're in light polluted skies like most of us are, it's a game changer, because then you can do it from anywhere in your yard.
It's the three or four bands as opposed to having to get different filters for each one. So it's got a little profile for each little band there.
Actually, no. I mean, if you're talking one-shot color and these filters, it does it all in one, and you just basically process it like you normally would a one-shot color.
Can y'all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So that sort of leads me to ask the question that I meant to ask was that what if one of those filters was somehow maybe in line with RGB filters when you're shooting mono? I mean, does that even help, or are you starting?
Because most mono, unless you're doing LRGB instead of the narrowband stuff.
Right.
And I would, if I were doing narrowband, if I were doing monochrome, I would go ahead and do the LRGB and the narrowband separately, rather than try and put something in front of an LRGB filter.
Yeah, just find a dark site and do your
Let it go to town. Yeah.
RGB there. Yeah.
While it's doing its process or filming.
Hey, Bill, the picture here of M16 I took, that was with the Optolong L Enhance filter.
With the one-shot color, what is that, with the one-shot color?
Yeah, with the 294.
And you look at this, the screen background for my picture here, that was shot with the L Extreme.
And of course, I separated the HA so I could have an HA picture of M16.
Yeah, I love those
Another
dark
cool feature
zones. They
is
look like
is that
like
you can actually
colors of
separate
creation.
all 3 of the narrowband image or narrowband colors from your image if you've got a one-shot color, so you can process it just like you do narrowband.
Ooh, clean shot.
This picture here, I took a little bit more time in Astropixel processor, and I separated the HA channel first. Then I went back through and separated the O3 channel, then recombined the 2 together. It's a little more work, but at least I can bring out, a little bit more different color in it.
Yeah, doing it that way, you can do false color rather than natural.
Right. You learning anything, Zach?
Oh, lots, tons. I just need to find a refractor now. So that's mission number 1 at the moment. So looking forward to trying it though. I'm trying to find one that'll strike the balance that'll let me still do some visual for my kids, because they want to look at stuff too. So I'm trying to find something that'll at least let us look at some planets and stuff. So for them, I think anyone that I've been looking at, I think will be okay with the right eyepieces. So we'll see. At least I hope so. Alrighty. You guys have, I'm going to head out. I got to get going. So thanks for all the information. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you stopping by, Zach.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, that was great.
Sure.
Great demonstration too.
Appreciate it.
Good show, Robert. I'm going to head out too.
Okay.
Me too. I'm going to head out. I've got to go feed the cats. It
I
finally
know.
started quit raining.
It's raining now.
It's
It's
coming in from
after
the west
8.
again.
See y'all later.
Ciao.
Later.
I'm glad that y'all enjoyed the presentation tonight.
Sure enough.
Sure.
I'll catch y'all on the flip side.
Ciao.
Take it easy.
Yep. I'm done.